Welcome to Mendezville Live, with something to talk about. Here is Rudy Mendez. Oh, what's going on? Mendezville is in the house. Special guest today, former coach, or I coached with him, former coach and math department head back at JD Salinas. He was a great mentor to me when I came in the district. Guided me in coaching, guided me in teaching. I was a sixth grade math teacher for 6 years. Great guy, great common sense, great logic. Without any further ado, let's just get my main man, Jose Luis Perez, in here. We're gonna be talking sports, fatherhood, and what we talk about. Hey, just sports for today. JL Perez, what's going on, big dog?
Awesome. Thank you, Rudy, for having me here.
No, hey, I'm
It's a
excited to
pleasure.
have you, man. I'm excited to have you.
It's a pleasure, really. You're doing a fantastic job. I think you invited some people there from La Jolla, local people, other districts. I know collegiate coaches. It's amazing, and parents need to know, coaches need to know what we go through. And
Yeah.
great job, Rudy.
For sure. Speaking of coaches, I got a collegiate basketball coach. He's interested in coming in. I met him when I was at Loyola Marymount, so he wants to come on the show. I got an ex-track runner from UTSA. He wants to come on the show. So there's a lineup, and
Yes.
more coaches and more people want to come in, and it's all about learning. This show is not about knocking people or criticizing people. It's just things that happened. Learn from what happened. Share our points of views, our opinions, and hopefully parents that are seeing this can take some advice. Coaches that are seeing this can take some advice. School board members, directors, whatever it may be. It's a more of on a quest for knowledge and learning from different kinds of people. And that's why I brought you in, because how long have you been working for the district?
20, going on 26 years.
So you came in
26.
99, okay.
95.
Oh, I was a freshman.
I came into the business field for 3 years, from
Uh-huh.
92 to 95, and then I went into education without even thinking about coaching. Just going into education and follow a different path for what I have. And 1999, I had the opportunity to coach. I was talking to one of my ex-coaches, Coach Casas, amazing person. Brought me in and gave me the opportunity to coach there and Richards. And so I decided, yes, why not? And I spent there 10 years as a coach and a teacher.
So that was at Richards when it was packed.
That was St. Richards when we started. So we started that program there. And whenever you open up a school, it's extremely difficult,
Yeah.
very difficult. But I had the opportunity to learn from a lot of people. And at that time, it was one school. So we had the opportunity to see a lot of players that came through our system that now are educators and now are coaches.
Nice.
So
That's awesome. I know. You know what? I have actually. I keep in contact with one of the ex-players that I had was Alan Gonzalez. I don't know if you remember
oh
him.
yes, he was my student,
Yeah.
my
So Alan
player.
yeah, he was there when I was there with you at JD
Hmm.
Salinas. Actually, I'm trying to bring him in. We had it scheduled for Saturday morning, this past Saturday, but I told Alan, no, you know what? I'd rather have it in the evening because I want people to know what he knows. I want to learn from him.
Yes,
He's one of those guys that he's at UTSA. He is working with the football and UTSA athletics strength and conditioning program. So he's
amazing,
there training the collegiate players.
amazing.
So I'm kind of selfish in saying I hope we get him once he graduates. Whichever district gets that guy, whichever district it was La Jolla. I know he wants to come to La Jolla, but whichever district gets that guy, man, you're gonna be getting a wealth of knowledge from a 22-year-old kid. But the fact that he's been there for 4 years, learning from collegiate coaches, man. But yeah, he should be coming on. He's a special case because he's working at HEB right now, and he works overnight.
Okay.
So no, he doesn't have a chance to get on the podcast at 10:30 p.m. But we'll get him. We'll get him.
Yeah, definitely.
And I feel that I'm sure you must be proud, and that sense of pride from a coach, from a teacher, when you see ex athletes or ex students come to you, and now they're in the mix with you.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about Alan Gonzalez. He was one, and I think we disagreed on this a little bit, Rudy. I'm gonna step on your toes a little bit.
This show we can disagree. It don't matter.
You see, Alan played football, basketball. He was in track. He was, I believe, in cross country. I mean, multi-sport athlete.
Yeah.
Very smart, and I think because of that, he was a better player because he was a smart kid.
Yeah.
So, he went into basketball and he was real successful at that. Yeah. So when he went to high school, he only played basketball. Yeah. And we had this, I wanted for him to play football because he was a secondary guy. Yeah. And he was smart in playing safety. And we won games because of him. Yeah.
I remember.
We won games because of him. And not because he was the toughest or the biggest or the strongest or the fastest, but because he played very smart. Yeah. And because of that, he could have helped our system in football, and he would have gotten stronger. He would have gotten a different mobility for him to be better athlete in basketball. But then he went to basketball, and I think he did a good job. He did an amazing job there too. But I was kind of not disappointed in him because he did amazing. But I would have liked to see him playing football too, so he could, develop a little bit of a different size into him, maybe a different type of mobility. Could have helped him a little bit more. That's my opinion.
No, it's great because the past podcast we had Adan Montalvo here, we had Valde in here, we had Kenny in here, Juan Arevalo's been in the mix, we had that track coach come in, David Burnett, and no matter, my big thing is basketball, but no matter what is, I think the consensus is whenever conversations come about, we have to have multi-player athletes.
Yes.
If you're good at, like Alan, good at basketball, but you're also great safety. Go play football. I know. I'll tell you who. The way you feel about Alan. You know who I feel about? CJ Flores. Remember CJ?
Yes.
Man, he was so good at. He was what? He was the same age as Alan, no? Yeah. Coach. No, he was a year older.
I'm not too sure if they were the same age, but CJ, he didn't play football with us because he broke his arm in a freak accident, and then he came back. He didn't play the final year there in middle school, but he played he played varsity. He ended up playing football and basketball.
Yeah, actually, with CJ, I remember we had during the referee meetings that I have for basketball. Yeah, they're in the same grade. Adolfo's saying that they're in the same grade.
They're in the same grade.
CJ. Okay. Yeah. So the way you wanted Alan to play football, I wanted CJ to play basketball. And see, he tried it for like a year or two, but there was a conflict. And I told him, I was like, hey, why aren't you playing basketball? Because I did coach him in 7th grade basketball. And he's like, pues es que after school, he had some situation that he couldn't get to basketball practice on time. Or he had to get to the second hour. Who knows what it was, but him being there the second hour, his freshman and sophomore year, kind of hindered him from growing as a basketball player. So, pues he just stuck to football when he could have been good at both. Pero, pues I guess the point of where I was going about the referee meetings is there was that one catch. I think it was against Mackay. It was at Mackay Stadium where it was a tie, and he falls on the ground, and the rule is if it's a tie, it goes to the offense.
To the offense.
It should have been a touchdown. The referees called interception because CJ grabs it, falls down, and pues I'm already down. He lets go, and the other guy comes up with a ball. And hombre, you should have seen it. The rest were going, because we're all like, hey, what do you think about this? And, we're showing the phone to everybody, like, hey, what do you think about this play? What do you think about this play? What do you think about this play? And some refs were like, oh, that's a touchdown. That's an easy call. And the other refs were like, it's because the angle. And I was like, not me. You don't know what you're talking about. It's a touchdown. But, it's one of those things that CJ could have been up. But either way, I mean, I think the biggest thing we're learning from the conversations is the kids should play both,
And a little bit about Adan, we coached against him in middle school. Great player. And when he was a freshman, you have to understand La Jolla at that time, there was a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And you can make two teams, and believe me, Rudy, the two teams were amazingly as talented. Both of them.
Both teams would have made playoffs.
At the freshman level, both teams that it was hard. So I remember one story, and I don't know if Adan I don't know if he's watching, but I don't know if Adan remembers there was another quarterback during the time of Adan who was also a freak nature, an athlete, playing quarterback, very athletic. And I think he came from Memorial Middle School. If somebody I can't recall his name, but very good athlete. But Adan was very smart and playing the game. And that's what got him ahead. Yeah. Because I don't know, I can't tell whether the other athlete was a better athlete or not. Was he faster or not? But he would talk a little bit more. He would be more vocal. Adan was a leader in silence, and people respected him for that. And when he spoke, people listened. And he had that management. And because of that, I mean, the coaches attracted to that. Of course, you're going to have the best leader there. Yeah. The other kid, I can't recall his name. Adan can probably, and I don't remember seeing him playing again. So it's sad that he didn't play again. He could have played another position because the other athlete, yes, the other young man. I can't recall his name. Adan can probably remember who he was, but I don't think I saw him again throughout the 4 years. So we would lose a lot of good kids because there was a lot of talent, and they were just maybe very, very low second that they would be discouraged to playing. Yeah. And at that time, La Jolla was had a lot of students and a lot of competition.
Yeah, you had to hold your own.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because kids need, I think, and sometimes I hear stories like that where kids don't make it or they don't get their starting job. And I'm not going to play anymore. I'm like, wait a minute, you can still play another position and be really, really good at it. You know what I'm saying?
We've had so many of those. Can't remember the person who went. He was one of our real good athletes in Ann Richards. And he was very uncoordinated. So we want for those kids to play basketball to kind of get the coordination in, the catching, the ability to move laterally, the ability to pass, to catch the ball, to jump, and so forth, the timing of catching the ball, the timing of rebounding, and so forth. So this kid didn't have it in middle school. A lot of times those kids grow so fast that they get a little lanky and they don't get as coordinated. Well, when he was in high school, I mean, he just grew, got coordinated. I believe he played in Arkansas or Oklahoma. He played, and he played against Darren McFadden. He played with Darren McFadden in the same team. Wow. Adolfo can probably mention if he's there. He was from Ann Richards, and I believe he played defensive end. He got to play. So it's amazing how we as coaches see kids, and we can never get discouraged for a kid who's slow or who's not as strong, not as tall, because we don't know how they're going to grow as when they become 16, 17, 18 years old. We don't know. There's so many stories that those kids in the B team ended up being amazingly good and productive at the high school. And we have so many kids who were good at the middle school that, did not really flourish whenever they were in high school.
Wait, is
So
that Robert? No,
Robert,
Robert Salinas.
Robert Salinas,
Yeah,
exactly.
Adolfo and Juan Arrelo commented on that. Yeah, Robert Salinas.
Robert Salinas. I mean, when he was there in middle school, he reminded me like Dustin. You
Oh
know,
man, Dustin was a beast in high school. Man.
well, I mean, this kid, but in middle school, he struggled with coordination. He struggled with the ability to move and so forth. So you're talking about what is the emphasis here, to win or to develop? And it has to be to develop, because we
I know
we, we have
we've
to
had that
we,
discussion back and
we
forth.
have to compete. Yes, I mean, we have to try to win.
Right, no matter what.
Basically, it's
Yeah,
always going to be trying to win,
yeah.
but not to the expense of developing the child, not to the expense of giving the opportunity to the kids. And that's what we have B teams, because we've had in the past, and this is a story that as coaches, sometimes we have a problem that, let's suppose we have 30 kids, 25 kids in our roster, 30 kids.
Yeah.
And they say, well, I don't have enough for a B team. Well, if you can make 14 kids to play in the B team and play a game, why not? We've played with 12, 13 kids in the B team to give the opportunity for them to play. But you've seen it that some teams have 30 kids and they say, we don't have enough for a B team. Because as a coach at the middle school, it's hard to coach an A team and then a B team. So a lot of times it says, no, we don't have time. We don't have kids.
Yeah, I mean, my thing right there is like, I guess my response is no tiene chiste. You just gotta be organized, structured with your practice.
You'll be surprised. Yeah, you'll be surprised that sometimes there's some teams who they say, no, we'd rather go with one team because we only have 28 or 30 kids. With 28, 30 kids, you can make two teams.
Yeah, well, the big thing there is, in my opinion, is, well, and I've seen it, in different districts, and with junior high, I've been in junior high for what, since I got here back in 2011, 2012, that was my first school year here, is, okay, you only have one team, and you say you have 30, let's say 32, benefit of the doubt, but then you only play the 13, 14, 15 kids.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, what happened to the other guys? Are they not going to play, And I think that's unfair when you get in situations like that, because well, my thing is, you're taking away reps from, like you said, kids that might flourish.
Exactly.
15, 16-year-olds, they need those reps for at least the mind gets played with, and they learn to recognize, and they learn the grind and the mental stress, and they get the composure to when their body does catch up. Hey, I've already seen this on the B team, but then you're 16, 17 years old. Hey, now my body's ready for varsity. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Yep.
I mean those are some things that we do go into, and we've seen them, but I think that comes more to the structure of the practice.
The organization, how you organize
Yeah.
as a coach in middle school, and giving the students, a student athlete, the opportunity to compete, because I see it now that even in track, non-contact sport,
Yeah.
and in sixth grade, whenever you go take your kids over there, there's some kids who are so nervous.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Why are they so nervous?
They're
Because
inexperienced. They're inexperienced.
they don't want to lose, or why are they so nervous? And the reason they're nervous is because they're not used to that spotlight.
Yeah.
They're not used to. They haven't seen it before. So now they're in the track. You know that you're not gonna get hit. You're gonna just run. But the mind gets you so nervous, and it's gonna slow you down.
Yeah.
It will slow you down.
Yeah.
And if a kid is experienced, and being in the spotlight, then you're gonna go there more relaxed.
Of course.
And when you're more relaxed, your body's ready to compete. And more often than not, you're gonna be more successful.
Yeah. I think there's a few things there, and let's jump into the mind. Well, there's a bunch of stuff. I mean, with you, I can go on. We're gonna be here a while. But because you've seen so much, and you for example, you talk about. Let's talk about the mind because that's where we left off. Oh, Rudy D said one of my parents at Chavez Middle School says, baseball junior high needs an A and B team. Just saying. But that's a little tough. But we'll get into that here in a little bit. Let's put baseball.
With so many kids there, probably so. But yeah.
The mind is like you say. It's for example, we see it. I think we see it more like at the northern schools that kids don't play. For example, basketball. Let's just take basketball. When they haven't played basketball and they don't have the skill set, pues they play in the game and it's catch the ball. It's like, okay, now, it takes that half second, 2 seconds to like, okay, now I got to dribble it. And now I got to look who's open. And all these things that you have to process in the mind to where a kid that's played third, fourth, fifth, sixth, pues, by the time he gets to seventh grade, for example, the kid I had this year, Daniel, his dad has had him in basketball for 3-4 years. I'm sure you saw the same thing with Diego, who played basketball for many years, soccer for many years. So the brain has already learned to process that information without getting so nervous. Right?
And that takes away from you. Many years ago, when I was coaching basketball, during a 5-on-5 scrimmage, and we would go 5-on-5 and a quick whistle to correct.
Right.
A quick whistle to correct. Did you pass this? Was it open? Did you pass it? What happened? So there was one instance where, there was somebody wide open underneath the basket, and he said, "Coach, I didn't see him." You were looking that direction. I didn't see him. But the reason they don't see it is because they're not aware of the game. You're looking at that point, but you're not seeing things. And that comes from experience. And the longer you play, well, you're going to see positions where you're going to have the spacing in basketball. For example, I'm not going to get too close to somebody, but if you notice, when they don't know how to play basketball, they all get bunched up, right? They all get bunched up. They don't know how to do the spacing, and that's what comes with a lot of game experience, and that's just why we used to have A, B, and C teams for that reason.
In my first 2 years there with you guys at JD, the C teams.
We used to have, and really, it's a lot of those kids in C teams are maybe football players, a little. They like the sport because it's a fun sport. It's a lot of movement. Right now, I have a situation where basketball. They played my kids, and a little bit of story about my boys and coaching. I've coached for 21 years, I believe. 20, more or less, from 1999 to 2000, 2018, 20 years. But I stopped coaching because now I wanted to, I have two boys that were growing up and they were into sports. And of course, just to talk a little bit about baseball, I never liked the sport. Never liked the sport of baseball. I never liked it. I played a little bit. Now I would have wished I would have played in high school. If I wanted to regret, I would have loved to play baseball in high school, but I didn't. And that was my mistake. So I started with baseball because at the Boys and Girls Club that was the sport that everybody would go and you have in Palmview, and you have Juan Arevalo did a fantastic job organizing the whole thing for many years. So I put my boy there, my oldest boy, and as a 4-year-old, as long as I would be coaching. So it would be hard because I would be coaching at the middle school, come here, and then take my boy and coach him. Yeah. And it's amazing how we bond with our kids. And one emotional story, I hope I don't get too emotional, but Um, when my boy was 5, he said, Dad, when I grow old, I want to be a dad so I can take my son to practice.
No, qué padre. That's a good story, man.
So when I heard that, I said, it's time for me to quit coaching and spend more time with my boy.
Yeah. Cause see,
So
I'm in that predicament right now
yeah,
because I do coaching and then pues and deja tú, I have 3 and I'm a coach for 2 of them
yeah.
because I made the mistake when Sophia, my oldest, she did soccer, Maisa, and I said, okay, well, you know what, I'm a coach. I want to. I don't want to. I don't know if I don't want to be taken too serious. So I put her in 2 different teams, right? Y pues I wasn't too happy with the coaching. Especially the fact that my background is I do this every single day, the adjustments, and my biggest thing was making sure that all the kids got a chance to kick the ball. 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds kick the ball, make sure they get their touch. Luckily, I found a coach, Jaime Lopez. He works at Central Office for La Jolla Finance Department.
Oh yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So he's pretty good, right? So I don't know how it ended up that Sofia ends up on that team. And I'm like, you know what? I like Jaime. I like his energy. He's doing good. Ahí la dejo. But the other 2, my son, and then the little one, 3-year-old, I'm the coach. I get out of junior high practice. Y dale. Go to McAllen or here at the house or find a park and practice. He come home. So I'm not getting home. I don't stop coaching during their seasons till pues 9, whenever the sun comes, was the lights there at mice or whatever it is. But yeah, man, it's interesting the kids in the mind, the mind. Let me tell you a story about what you talk about right now about the kid that didn't even see him at the bottom. I did this story time a few weeks back outside of my garage when I was doing the story time. I'm a senior varsity basketball player. We're playing. I don't even remember who it was against. I get a steal. Boom. I take it. On the corner of my eye, I see Eric Montalvo take off. Right? Back in the day, 99, we packed it. The gym was packed. People came to watch. With my arranco, I'm taking off. And then as I'm taking off, I start getting so stressed, so nervous. Wide open layup. The guys are going to catch me. I knew the guys weren't going to catch me. Take the steal. And I get so nervous and so tense. I'm like, well, I know Eric's on the side. I pass it. I don't see him. I don't look. I'm just so nervous. And he wasn't even there because he stopped. He's like, oh, Rudy's got the layup. 3 to 4 plays later, same play, another steal. You're up a hawk, bro, in defense. No, I'm just saying. I don't know. But, I got lucky that game. I get another steal. And this time I'm like, wait a minute. I can, don't pass the ball. Just go make the layup. Sure enough, I made the layup. But it's like you're saying, if a kid in 7th grade who's barely starting to play basketball, imagine me, I'm over here, 18-year-old, and I get so nervous that I couldn't see the basket. I still remember it. I didn't see it because I got so nervous because people were watching. I got to make this play. So totally understandable. So that's why when kids get nervous and growing and my experience as coaching, ya nomás say, hey, come on, tell them, explain it to them, and I tell them it's okay to be nervous. And sometimes I tell that story to my guys. That way they're like, well, if coach got nervous when he was 18, it's okay for them to get nervous when they're 17. Let me touch base on that mind stuff. This is the reason, the main reason, not for athletic purposes, when I clash with football coaches. And yesterday I told Kenny how I would like my schedule to be if I was a basketball coach. The reason I would like the football players, the ones that are going to play basketball, the basketball players, you play football for 3-4 months. And then I want you to come play basketball. And, you can say about strength training and quickness and who develops, forget the body, the mind. You develop for 3 months competitive edge, adrenaline, and all that stuff in football. And then you do it again for 3 more months in basketball. That's 6 months of training the mind, your freshman and at least your sophomore year, to go through that mental grind. So when you're a junior and a senior, your composure and the stress level is a lot less. That's in my personal opinion. But of course, some coaches rather have their football players in just football, and some basketball players, basketball coaches in basketball. But That's a never-ending argument, I think. From what I'm
Yes, I
hearing.
mean it all depends on what your experience is. Like I said, I never liked baseball, but my kids were okay with it. They ended up, quite a bit of they could throw the ball, they could hit the ball. They were not the best one, but they competed well. So the problem came with coaching when my other son came into competition.
Uh-huh.
That now I says now I have two kids who want to play. And when you play at the Boys and Girls Club, pues it's a month. When you play baseball at the Boys and Girls Club, it's a month and a half maybe, and that's it. McAllen now has basketball. I think it's 4 seasons. So with basketball, you don't even have to play select. You just enroll them in McAllen at the elite teams. They have some good competition, very good competition. Um, so you can, it's not as expensive because it's only like 40, $50 for a season.
Yeah.
But in travel ball, and this is where my experience has been at the baseball, because see, I didn't like baseball, but I learned how to like it because my kids were good at it. They competed. So I learned how to like the sport, and I appreciated the sport. And I'll tell you something. I've coached basketball, track. I've coached one game of soccer, but that's one game, and I don't even see myself like JR Bocanegra was there, and pues I mean he was a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
I really didn't coach it. He was a player coach at that time in middle school because the other coach didn't go, so I helped him out. But baseball, it's a hard, by all means, it's really hard to coach because of the safety issue. The baseballs are hard, and the baseball bats are hard too. So there has to be a lot of more structure and organization of um, how that game is played mentally. Mentally, you have to understand. I call this baseball an unforgiving sport.
Mm.
It's an unforgiving sport. Basketball and football, it's very forgiving.
A ver, ¿cómo?
And let me explain what I feel about that.
Mm.
In basketball, you made a mistake. You didn't pass, or you passed it and nobody was there, right? Um, then you came back and made another. You got lucky, you said, and you made another steal, and you made the layup, right?
Yeah.
See, in baseball, a grounder goes past second base, and you might not see a grounder ever again. People are going to remember that you missed a grounder in second base.
Yeah.
It is hard to see. You cannot say, oh, next time. It might not be a next time.
There's not that many next times.
So how do you develop a kid mentally, that, maybe you made two mistakes. And I remember Diego one time, he missed two ground balls back to back.
Hijos.
And how do you help a kid mentally when there was none other? Maybe he could have gotten the next five, but we would have never known because mentally he's already shut down.
Yeah.
And in basketball, you make a mistake, you can make it up defensively, you can make it up in other ways, right?
Yeah.
But baseball, it's hard mentally because you miss the ball, and it's like, if what about if
You gotta shake it off.
what about if what about if it doesn't come your way in again? How is that kid gonna feel in third base when he missed two grounders, and you're like, and the mistake that people do when they're young, and sometimes you take them out.
Mm.
So how do you feel when
No,
you make a mistake
no, it's even
and you
worse.
take them out?
Pues, yeah.
How do they think the kid feels?
Yeah.
You're not even. How do you make up that mistake when you're taken out because of a mistake?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
And
get you.
we see that a lot in baseball. It says, I mean, people don't understand how the mind works.
Yeah. Not only that, you make two mistakes and then you have to go up to bat, and you're still
No, you're striking out.
you're
We
striking out.
know.
Yeah.
We know kids who already, we know when the kid is not mentally strong, we know it's a strikeout.
Yeah.
It's an out because
He's still
we
benefiting
can
from
tell
good
how the
mistakes.
mind is.
Yeah.
It's brutal out there with the
Excuse me.
developing kids.
Yeah.
And I was intrigued whenever the college coach came about and how he built the rapport, the confidence, how he works with their mind, gives them the confidence to compete. This is in college.
Who are you talking about? The guy I brought in? The guy that had
Yes.
David Burnett? Yeah.
Can you imagine? And we are here in Little League and 4, 5, 6 year olds taking them out of the second base because they missed the ball.
What's gonna
It
happen?
was
Chiquitos.
it's brutal for the kids.
Yeah.
And that's how we need to focus on helping the kid how to get mentally strong.
Yeah, for sure. And Basilio Mendoza, your neighbor, he spoke about, his idea would be hiring a mental strength coach. And I know, you know who I know? I got to bring him on the show is Payo. He comes up with really mental,
Oh yes.
very
Oh
mental
yes.
practices during his practice situations. And I'm not talking about turn two, because I don't know, it's the mind, like visualizing. And he's told me his stories, like the stuff that he does. I'm like, man, that's pretty good. And I want to
Yeah.
bring him on the show so you can share with the public.
And
about that.
the reason I know is because I talk to Payo a lot. But his boy and my boy are the same age, the same size probably.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So great kids, and a great father. I would see him a lot in the games. But if you ask me, how many times did he scream at a kid? Did he take him out because of a mistake? I never saw him do that because he knows, and I know when he was a head coach in Juarez, and this is what we learn. I mean, you said about continuous to learn from people that are older, people that are younger. Bayo, I saw him playing baseball when he was in high school, and then he became a coach. And what he would do is his assistant coaches, he would make them read a book of mental development.
Uh-huh.
Of mental development. And I know Rigo Lopez would say, man, I have to read these chapters in this stuff because Payo's asking questions. So,
Homework.
that's how powerful the mind is at the baseballs and with the sport of baseball.
Oh man,
It's extremely how your vision, a lot of times people only see the art of throwing and the art of batting, but the art of the mental aspect of it's something else. I've learned to admire the game. Right now, I'm watching the game right now. They're in extra innings. The Astros and the Dodgers. They were playing right now. But see, I see baseball differently now.
Yeah.
When before, I was all football for me.
Yeah.
And sometimes basketball in the playoffs, but football is God. I mean, it's the king of sports. But you appreciate the mental development of a student and how the coaches are so responsible and so have the opportunity to nurture that and create mental toughness.
Yeah, you guide them, and it goes on to carry on for the life situations. Kenny touched a little bit about that, and I was thinking about that throughout the day, and it was interesting because, for example, a PE coach. I have a guy, one of my former colleagues coached with me, and he's talking about how core classes versus PE, and I get that academics is very important, but at the same time, as a coach, like the responsibility of guiding them and believing in them, or them believing in you, that you believe in them, it goes a long way. It goes a long way because they remember. For example, I remember ¿te acuerdas now his name is Boca, but back in junior high he had a different last name. He was a receiver for Juarez Lincoln this year. He just graduated, soccer player. What's his name? Either way, in 7th grade, I'm sure Adolfo, if he's watching, he might remember him. He changed the name to Bocanegra now. Was it Sergio, I think it was? I don't remember.
Oh, yeah.
Well, in 7th grade, I don't know, he messed up. he messed up. Pues, he's first year, he's barely learning how to play football. There at JD Salinas. And I still remember we were at Ann Richards. And pues sale, he comes out crying. And, and I get him. And, Carrion. I think that Adolfo saying this to Carrion when he was with us.
Yes.
Right? So he comes out crying. And I'm over here and I see him. I'm like, okay, this guy is mentally distraught right now. So my thing is, hey, just forget the play. I'm like, hey, you don't worry about it. You're gonna come back. Don't go wash your face. You're okay. I'm not mad at you. Hey, it's gonna happen. Don't just keep going. And sure enough, it takes a while, and he goes through that mental stress. And pues mira, he was playing at the varsity level, and he was tearing it up as a receiver.
Yeah.
So
Emilio. So that those students probably never competed when they were in elementary. They never competed, and they did. They were very unorganized.
Mm-hmm. We just play at home in La Colonia or something.
And very unorganized. And the way we grew up, because at that time there was not an organization. So now we're getting there to compete against the McAllen schools. We're getting there. But the difference is we go and the mental aspects of the game, there's a lot more confidence than we are.
Excuse me.
Because they've seen it before.
Right.
They've seen it before. And that's what we try as parents to kind of put our kids, not because to get better or stronger and so forth. And we'll talk a little bit about the retention, about holding the kids back. And I think there is an advantage, of course, in so many ways. But the experience that the kids have, it's unparalleled to what some of our kids that we have great athletes like Emilio, fantastic athlete, amazing, but never had the experience. So sometimes when you compete those against another kid from McAllen that might not be as good of an athlete, but mentally he's a lot more confident, you're not going to do as well, But experience would be playing 100 games in the summer, playing 50 games in the summer. It's gonna provide. I think there was a coach basketball, and we'll talk a little bit about basketball. There were some kids from Zavala who were okay. They were okay, nothing big. When they were seventh grade, they were okay. Coming eighth grade, I think Tovar was there. There's a kid who's Tovar. There was a friend of mine, one of my schoolmates, Omar Perales, loves the sport. I went to school with him. He played basketball. He loves the sport, and he actually came not too long ago to look for a team from Palmview area, from this area, to compete. But right before this pandemic started, and we were supposed to start a little league with my little one there, but it kind of stopped. Well, he got those seventh graders, and then he played the summer with them. And I heard that he played over 75 games in the summer. Man. He played so many games, so many tournaments. Well, when they came as an eighth graders, I mean, they were amazingly much, much better. Yeah. Because they spent the time playing the whole summer, competing elsewhere. So right now it's exposing the kids and for them to play and compete, and it'll work with your body and work with your mind.
I'll tell you, I had a Güero, when I got him Payo's boy, I got that group when they were I moved from JD. When I moved from JD to Chavez the last 2 weeks of school, they were in sixth grade. I get them in seventh grade, that whole full year. And I still remember, and Payo's the athletic director at the time. He's sitting up in the stands, and I'm looking at the scoreboard, and I'm getting beat 65-5. And I'm thinking to myself, man, this guy must think.
I know the feeling.
Why in the world? I'm thinking to myself, why in the world did I get this guy if he can't beat these McAllens? Not only can he not beat them, but he's getting rocked by 60, right? So that summer and that spring, pues, hey, let's go, let's get organized. Hey, we're gonna go play at we played about 4 or 5 tournaments. We played in at the Vipers Edinburgh League about 3 4 tournaments against the eighth graders because it's seventh and eighth grade, but most of them are eighth graders. Same thing, 20 30 point games. 20 30 we couldn't win 20 30 point games. Of course, those teams are a little bit more organized, stacked wise. They're not just from one school. And Alan alluded to that a little bit during his podcast. And then I put him also in the STX Hoopsters. I think I played 1 or 2 tournaments there with Arnold Martinez. So sure enough, they come to eighth grade, and we tie for district champs. Granted, the big stud from Zavala comes over to Chavez Moya, and he helps out. But the difference in the kids as seventh and eighth graders, pues ya, okay, I already know the game. I already understand the full court press. We're not gonna be with by the full court press anymore. We have better composure. We know when to shoot, what to look for, and it's a big difference when you play those games in the summer, man. It's
Oh yes, yeah. And the thing is, a lot of our kids, how many times they play basketball, and then okay, sir, what's next? What's the next sport? They go to the next sport, and then they don't see a basketball until the following year
in January.
in January. They see a basketball again. So as a parent now, we know what it takes. So all it is giving our kids an opportunity for them. Oh, there's a basketball league over here. Let's go. Let's get basketball over here. Let's go. Baseball over here. Baseball over here. But I feel, and look at all the kids from Chavez, the freshman group or now their sophomore group.
Yeah, the incoming sophomores. Yeah.
Those kids played baseball since they were young. Some of them, Juice and Hugo and
JC.
JC, all those kids played baseball when they were young, and mentally you develop that strength, the mental toughness. Because I cannot say it's gonna be all nice and handy just because you compete. There's gonna be coaches out there that are not suitable, but I would say, like I tell my kid, sometimes they get after you, that's fine. Get over it. Let's move on. Don't dwell on those things because it's not going to be the first time people are going to yell at you. Go. Sometimes it's fair, sometimes it's not fair. But my job as a parent is not to get him that mental toughness. So when he goes to middle school, he goes to high school, and people are going to correct them. And sometimes they correct them okay. And sometimes they're strong. The coaches, sometimes it's a little bit strong. They have to make sure that they have that mental toughness to overcome those things and not shut down. Because we've seen so many of those. And nowadays it's a lot better. But let me tell you, and I'm pretty sure you're going to experience this in your volunteering coaches. Sometimes it's amazing what you hear. Amazing what you hear. My first baseball game with Diego when he was 5 years old, we played in Palmview, and I was scared. I told Juan, "Are you sure that there's not going to be no problems with parents and fighting and stuff like that?" "Oh, no, it's not." And he does have things under control. Well, the first game, two parents from each side, because the score was, they had it 11-10, 10-11, one run. I don't know who won, who cares? They're 5 years old, but you should see the parents fighting.
I did go once to go see Adolfo's boy, Joaquin, and he played there in Palmview one time. Y pues I ain't gonna lie to you, I was fairly new. I was fairly new back. I mean, I was back. I was 4 years old, so yeah, I was back in 2012. I was recent. Y dije no, I can't come back here because my background was sportsmanship, and we had discussed this at Indiana State, and the parenting, and just relax. They're 5, they're 6. No, some of them aren't even gonna play in junior high. Who knows? And they're yelling at the ref, and me, I'm a referee. So at the same time, I feel for refs when they get yelled at. And don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. I messed up, and sometimes I get it. And, the fans are gonna tell you stuff, but there's a certain line where they cross, and you're just like, come on, man. It's now the varsity is different, but when it's junior high or elementary, just have fun. Let the kids have fun with the game. I'll tell you what, this year, like you're saying, this year, coaching my 3-year-old daughter, she's playing up. She had to play with 4-year-olds, right? She's playing up and she's shy. But yo como quedando, hey, let's go. You know, coaching. All the girls are all getting the reps. And I have moms coming onto the field to move their daughter and like redirect and like, hey, let's go, let's go. And I had to tell them, I said, mommy, just off the field, please. Off the field, please. Like, and you know, and after the game, I was like, guys, do me a favor. As long as they're running, it's okay. They're gonna get distracted. It's okay. Because I went through that with my daughter. I didn't go on the field, but I saw that she was distracted. But I'm like, it's okay. As long as she gets a few sprints in and back and forth. Levi también. Levi, right now he'll attack the ball, but his first year, distracted, playing with dirt and kicking dirt around. And I think parents need to learn to just chill, relax their kids. It's a long way before they're 16, 17, and 18 years old.
Yeah.
So that's
But it's amazing how a lot of people take that thing very seriously, and winning becomes everything, which is important. I think we all should win in life, and whatever you want to call winning, successful, whatever you want to call that. But you cannot make it a problem that is going to involve conflicts,
right.
And it's going to detriment the kids and them saying, I don't want to play anymore, because it has to have a good experience in competing, healthy competition. But at the same time, how do you get them mentally tough? So that's what you have to kind of manage. You don't, not too soft, but be firm. But correct a lot of skills, and for them to get into the skills sports. We get into a little with Val about skills. And what I'm talking about skills is I believe, this is my personal belief. I don't know. You might see a little bit different. I've learned from, there's this coach, Mesica. I don't know if you met.
I remember him.
I mean, amazing coach. I've learned a lot of things from him, and he's a soccer coach.
Yeah.
But I've learned from him, and same thing. He was a head soccer coach in Memorial Mustangs when, but he stopped coaching because of his son and his daughter.
Yeah.
He stopped coaching because of them. Same thing. And all of a sudden I was in my side, and my boy ended up in his team. And a lot of times I see coaches and saying, you want to have a kid become good with the ball? Well, give them the ball 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Don't make them run 30% and give them the ball 40, 50%, 60%.
Yeah.
You have to give them a ball 100% of the time so they can become better dribblers, more skill. And that's how you become better at the sport.
Yeah.
A lot of times I see soccer, and I know there's a lot of academies who I put my boy, and they run for the first 20 minutes and the last 20 minutes, and they play with the ball with a short period of time. It says, well, don't expect the kid to gain some skills with that. But the way he would practice is ball. You have a soccer ball all the time doing drills, So guess what? I like the system that JD has, and I'm pretty sure you have it too. You want to have a kid who's going to be good.
No me han ganado, so I'm sure it's fairly well.
I think I beat you one time, Rudy. One of the few times that I beat you, and let me tell you how. You think I was missing a player, and I said, can I get a big player to play over here because I ran out of players? And you told me yes. And because of him, I beat you, I think. But it's all good, I think I've lost too, in the process.
Yeah,
but nonetheless, I know what JD does in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
We have a basketball in hand all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And I don't see that in other schools.
Mira,
I don't.
And this goes to the parents that are watching. This goes to the coaches that are watching. This is the next 2-minute rant that I'm going to go on is more of an information rant. so people can see the way I do it. And I know JD does it the same way. Why? Because I know I was there with you guys. My brother's there. Me and him talk all the time. First and foremost, soccer practice for the youth, the way you're talking about. At Mendes, you know, let me change my, at Mendes Sports Training, when I do it, when I have my practices here at the house, they, the kids are touching the ball the whole time. And we do the scrimmage the last 20, 20 minutes, que están chiquitos. But they're touching the ball, they're sprinting or they're jogging with the ball around the cones, sprint, go. And the big one that I do for little kids is score. Like they need to go score. Where they miss, but shoot it, shoot it, shoot it. They get at least 50 to 75 shots in the 45 minutes we're there, because it's when they go to the game on Saturday mornings at Maisa, you're going to get chances to shoot it. So, you know, you rep the muscle memory, the mind memory of, oh, there's a goal, I'm supposed to shoot it, right? Because you really can't control that age of, you know, touch and pass. So I do a lot of skill and a lot of shoot shots with the youth, the 4-year-olds. When it comes to basketball and when it comes to football, it's the first hour, hour and a half is a lot of, let's just take basketball for now and then we'll talk about football. It's basketball the way we do it. I think it's very similar to JD. The only big advantage that we have versus you guys and my brother in that program is that we have the two gyms, the two courts. So we have the 7th graders on one side and the 8th graders on the other. And we go back and forth. You know, and it's running. I don't make them do liners very often. And I never make them run very often. Like if they're running 3-man weave, 8-man drill.
Give them a ball.
6-man passing. Everything revolves around catch and pass,
Yes.
layup. I mean, they get their layups in. Layups in because come game time, pues I remember when you were there with me cuando estábamos Luis Mata. Remember that one? I mean, you and me were together, no?
Yes.
And Luis Mata would get a wide open layup, and there he goes, he misses. But no, and to avoid
Defensive specialist.
Yeah, of course. Oh my God, yeah. So it's you got to get a lot of layups, lots of passing and catching, and running all at the same time. And then of course we scrimmage at the end. It's very similar to the program that my brother has. And in football, we always try to do the pods. I try to emulate it the way high school skill: quarterbacks, running backs, linemen, the receivers, and then we go shell, the box, the 4-man pad, the 7-on-7, and we separate. And so while the quarterback's over there, I play quarterback with my running backs and the linemen. And I tell the lineman, give me the game. I get them to line up. First of all, hey, is he lined up inside, outside shade, inside shade? What's he at? 2, take 3. Because come in 8th grade, like for example, this year we had a real good, when we got district against De Leon, it was really neat because this is one of the greatest stories that I've experienced in that kind of situation. I'm at Chavez Middle School, my first year, we're in the district title in 8th grade. And for some odd reason, one of the guys, we can't block this one guy. So, you know, I get the board and draw it up. Ahora sí, lineman, everybody with me. You know, agents over there managing the game. You know, because I'm the 7th grade, but I do linemen during the game, during the 8th grade games. I make sure my linemen know what's going on. I said, hey, what's going on? How are they lined up? Are they 2 takes, 3 takes? Are they overshifting over? What's going on? He puts, you know, hey, coach, that guy's a 3 and he's inside shade. Is the linebacker blitzing? What do we got? What kind of calls are we getting, right? And then one night, you could tell the kid didn't want to tell me. And you could tell in his face, he's like, le digo, no le digo, me va a regañar, no me va a regañar. And he goes, no, coach, es que se está metiendo por ahí, pero tengo 2. I go, all right, let's adjust. Tell you what, when we go to this play that he's getting us, don't worry about that guy. Worry about the inside guy. And it's gonna, sure enough, the kid, and you know, I give him a pat on the back, and I also told him, I still remember, like, hey, thank you for telling me, because, hey, vas a ver aquí, it's gonna work. Don't worry about it. Hey, just do it. Sure enough, there we go, touchdown to the house fight song. And it's that teaching the basics and the pods, and you teach the vocabulary and all that, and then we go team. We don't do that much team when you really think about it during the first hour and a half. I mean, depending on the day, right?
It's because there's a lot of teaching involved, in all the sports. I think even in some of the kids might know the game, and you know, they know because they're aggressive kids. And JD Salinas and all the North schools, they're gonna be tough mentally, and you know, but they might not know the how to line up and the holes and the techniques and so forth.
The
And
technical
this is when
skills.
the teaching comes into play, right?
Yeah.
So um, I think overall, all the middle schools do a fantastic job. It has evolved, Rudy, because we came from having four middle schools and then open up Penn Richards, open up JD, open up Trevino. There was when
Dr.
our
Science.
population was like booming. Like we couldn't keep kids in our schools. There were like 1,200 kids, 1,100 kids. I think we had about 1,000 or more kids at Penn Richards when we were there. A lot of kids to participate.
You coach Martin Diaz?
But, huh?
Did you coach Martin Diaz?
Yes.
Great guy, man. I run into him as an adult in flag football. Great guy.
Yes. I mean, I had the opportunity to coach a lot of kids who are now, teaching with us. They're teaching with us, and it's amazing, amazing how they look up to us, and we need to take advantage of learning from that opportunity and knowing that we create that impact, so we can, make them believe that they can do a lot of stuff, even if they don't play college ball. It doesn't matter. They don't play college ball. If they do, amazing, awesome. You
Yeah.
know that's a give. That's something that take advantage. I mean, we had the Adan Montalvo, Eric. I got to see Eric and your TRGV. Adan, I didn't get to see him. Kenny went to play.
His
Valde.
brother.
There's a lot of players that went to play, and it's awesome. But there's only very few, very few. But the impact that we do to so many kids to be successful in whatever they decide to do, because we work with their minds, and I'm not just talking, academically, but building that confidence,
Yeah.
developing that confidence that sometimes we tell our kids, we're gonna have more obstacles than this. Losing a game is not gonna be
End of
it's
the
not gonna be
world.
the end of our lives. Tomorrow we're gonna wake up, and guess what? You're gonna eventually get married, and it says, really, sir? And now they are married, and now they have kids. And guess what? Some of those kids are playing. See, with me, Rudy. Um, I was 42 when I had my last child.
Oh,
You know, so kind of history repeats itself. My mom was 46 when she had me. I was not supposed to be here. My mom was not ready to have children. She was not prepared. It was 7 in the family, and that's it.
Surprise.
So here comes JL, sneaking in there, and it was tough because I grew up with my parents being a little bit older. So my dad was 49. So guess what? How history kind of repeats itself. Then I was 42 when my child is there. So my children are playing ball with my students' sons.
Sons. Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
My students' sons are playing ball.
So you're a
There's this
parent with your students, their
my
parents and your parents.
yes, they were my students. My students' kids are playing ball against my kids.
Yeah.
And it's fun to see that. And when I see them out there in the ballpark, I mean, they're like they see me as a teacher still.
Yeah.
They see me as a teacher, and I see them as in the students. And it's amazing how the continuation happens, and they're safe, and they're professionals, and they're working people, and that's what you want to do.
Yeah, you get a little sense of pride. You get a little sense of pride.
Amazing. I went to I was invited to a wedding with when I started teaching at the elementary level. I was in 5th grade teacher, and I had two students there. Well, they ended up getting married. Those 2 kids that I had in my classroom. Can you imagine? And then they invited me to the wedding. It was nice. It was nice. Like,
Cool.
you're gonna have that opportunity later whenever you get the experience for them, and knowing, having the impact that you do more in the mental aspect rather than competing and stuff like that. And yes, competition is good, but the mental aspect is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, so
Speaking of that, do you remember Felipe Pintor? I think Adolf coached him. Well, either way, I coach his son
mhm,
right now with my boy. And pues they're pretty good, man. Pues Felipe is a big soccer player. Uh, and we have him on the team. My son's on the team. And actually, Q, Laura Quesada, her boy is on the team. So we're pretty good. I se va, pero I tell him, hey, ¿qué onda? Do you remember? And he's like, hey, because he didn't know me yet. He shows up to one of the practices like, usted no es hermano de Méndez, no, algo de Méndez. Dije, sí, ¿cómo no, Coach Méndez? Sí, was he your coach or what? Oh, yeah, he was my coach. And then, reminisce a little bit. But I'm glad you have him here. And we go about it. But it's pretty cool that I've seen my brother's players that he coached. Like
yeah.
you, Martin Diaz. Well, then again, I kind of got to see Martin when he was in high school. But I never got to coach a kid like that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Pero pues, you make those impacts. And like you talk about Dustin. Oh, yeah. Speaking about the late bloomers and B teamers that end up being who I remember that was like that? The high jumper for Juárez. ¿Cómo se llama?
Luis Flores.
Yeah. He was similar to that because he wasn't that fast in seventh grade.
Yeah, I don't remember him, and I don't remember him in middle school, like to have an impact.
When during basketball season, he didn't play in seventh grade because he messed up his nose. So he had surgery on it or something like that. So he didn't get to play. He played a little bit of football, but then he had an accident. And he was out for about a good 3-4 months.
Yeah.
But a guy like that, all of a sudden in high school, man.
I mean, and we'll talk a little bit about the mental development and stuff like that. And I believe me, you don't know how much, and you guys did it, kind of redshirt them. I had the opportunity, but when my kids were small, I had other things in my life that was going on that I wasn't thinking about them being to redshirt them, to have this advantage mentally, physically, to be able to do that. I know a lot of people have done it. Good for them. I think it's an advantage in all aspects.
Right.
Who, as parents, we're gonna be selfish in keeping our kids a little longer, and if it's a year longer with us, fine. So who there's no rush to get out there and grow so quickly.
Say that again, Coach.
There's no rush
Huh.
for them to grow and to get out of high school.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's even better because with dual credits and all the credits that they have. So if you redshirt a student, and I mean redshirt is not that they retain, but you hold them back for that physical, emotionally maturity that they have the advantage of having. But you make up that year by getting those college credits in high school. You do that. However, it's hard because let me tell you, Payo and I had that conversation for a long time. For a long time when our kids were in second and third and fourth, and me decía, you want to do it? Let's do it. Let's do it. And I was like, something else came up. And we didn't. And we didn't with both. And, I think Diego would have been okay if we did or not. I don't think it would have been much of a difference. I think Dante would benefit more if we do that. And believe me, we've had that conversation right now. And, he even says, you should have done it earlier. He even told me you should have done it earlier. So I'm still trying, but this is the last opportunity for us. But, he's looking forward to compete. He's looking forward to be in seventh grade and compete. And so I don't know. It's one of those situations that it's respected, whatever people decide. Whatever people decide, it's a good decision as long as the parents are good with it. It's a fantastic decision. In our case, bottom line, I don't have regrets not doing it, but if I would have done it, I don't think I would have regrets doing it. You understand?
Right, right.
So I think as a parents are good because a lot of times you have to do the emotional thing. You know, the kids are gonna be okay if this. You know, we see that a lot. You know, we
Yeah.
see a lot of that, especially now with relationships. You know, uh, eventually those kids are gonna grow old and they're gonna have relationships.
Hmm.
And we've, as a parent, let me tell you something. I think that's the toughest thing to to talk to a kid. And out of all the things that we've talked about, having the relationship with a kid and knowing, talking about their relationship with a significant other,
Right, right, right.
that's tough. You know, it's tough situations there. So all those things come into mind when they're in high school. When there's, yeah, we think about sports and stuff like that. But you know, we also have to know that our kids gonna have girlfriends,
The
and
emotional
my
side.
daughter's gonna have a boyfriend. And how are you gonna handle that? And how are you gonna control that? And how are you gonna play the dad? And are you gonna be super strict, or you're gonna be having that rapport with them? You know, because that's a tough situation, and be able to, as a parent, to manage that, manage their sports, and manage their school.
Yeah. I know, with my daughter Sofia, uh, me personally, because of this COVID, I know she's gonna be in second grade, and the virtual learning, and she lost the last 2 months of first grade. I know my wife has always been back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I don't think we should do it. We should do it, and I'm all for it. And now with this situation, my wife's like, okay, no, I understand. And I've told her, look, the 2 months, the whole virtual learning, the whole COVID, stuck at home longer than usual, the schedule of, morning practice and then afternoon practice and all these things that the normal schedule that she got used to was, the last 5 months have not been normal to everybody. And now she's on the same page of, okay, we're gonna repeat. She's gonna repeat second grade. Uh, and then Levy, I said, look, whether the kid's good at sports or not, I said, el huerco no se puede quedar quieto cuando estamos comiendo. What makes you think that when he's in first and second grade, he's going to retain a lot of the stuff that the teacher's teaching him? The kid takes 2 bites and then he goes and runs around the kitchen and does flips on the sofa, and then he comes back and starts eating, and I'm just like, and I don't, I've tried to tell him to, Levy, can you please sit down? But you know what, I've learned, what, déjalo que se vaya y se agarra, let him play, you know. And that's more of the attention span. The kid is like, remember Mozo, Mozo.
He was my student.
Yeah, okay. So it's interesting. You're earlier. I watch a lot of Gary Vee. He's a big motivational guy, big business guy. And you mentioned earlier success, and different people have different definitions of success. If you talk to any academic person with that guy, you'd say, well, no, he's gonna be a failure. He's not gonna have success. But the kid is one of the best soccer players in the area. To me, he's pretty successful at what he's good at. That's his craft. You know what I'm saying? But how was his attention span back in the day?
Oh man, he was my student. You know, he started playing soccer in sixth grade.
Barely.
He didn't play when he was in elementary.
I'm gonna have to bring him on.
He started playing soccer in sixth grade, but very skilled with, of course, with his feet and basketball.
He played receiver too. He was a really good receiver.
Yes, and you know what more impressive about him? That he already had that mental toughness.
Mm-hmm.
He already had it,
Yeah.
but because of his circumstances that he went through, so his mental toughness was already there. And I remember him. He was small when he was in. And he said, "Sir, if I'm not gonna play in the 18, I'm not gonna play football." I mean, he was determined to play, and he didn't care what.
But he was gonna be on the 18.
He was determined to play and we beat Chavez at that year because of him. We beat
Nice.
Chavez because of him. And man, he was my corner and my receiver. And Chavez and us were always competing. Sometimes we lose, sometimes they lose, and so forth. And we're always competing. Very good competition, real healthy competition. We coached against Roy Flores, Rudy Garza, all those people from
Zuniga,
Chavez.
you coach against Zuniga?
Against Zuniga, yes. Bring him on so you can see. But we had some
That'll
good,
be fun.
yeah, very good, healthy competition that stayed in the field. But my respects
If
to
you
all
want to
those
call it
people.
healthy, we'll give it to
See,
you,
it's
brother.
very healthy, but very competitive.
Very
So
competitive.
yeah, so this student was like, he already had the mental toughness. So with those kids, Rudy, you only need to worry about the skill set.
Yeah.
And he didn't care about losing, about getting beaten. He didn't care that because he already had this he already knew, I'm better than you, I'm better than you. I don't care, I'm better than you. You cannot beat me attitude. You can't beat
Man,
me.
that's some great attitude.
So once you have a kid who says you cannot beat me, and I tell the students, even if you lose a game and you still say you cannot beat me,
You got
now
nothing. You got nothing.
your mind is already there.
Yeah.
Out, guess what you're gonna do? Working the skills, the reps and the reps and the reps. But how many times it says, no, but I don't want to compete against that kid because he beats me,
No, pues
right?
no.
So the mind is extremely powerful. And with Mozo, I mean, he already had it.
Yeah.
He already had it. I mean, he was determined. I don't care how tall you are, how fast you are, you're not gonna beat me, in soccer. You're not gonna beat me in basketball. And he was a competitor there, and he didn't start competing until when he was in seventh grade, but he had that edge, that a lot of times in middle school, we're here, and Adolfo can say we have so many huge kids and this, but their mind is still not developed,
Yeah.
and that's a big task for you guys. How are you gonna develop that mind?
Yeah.
You know?
And I think there is, you teach them, you believe in them, and they'll buy it. Because you do. I mean, you do. You want them to be
Yeah.
successful. And I know I've had kids that, you know what? The only bad thing about Mosul was that when he was in seventh grade, I did not get to coach him because I think that was my second year when I had to stay at Ann Richards. I don't care. The first 2 years,
Oh yes, yes, yes.
I was at Ann Richards, but I got to coach at JD, and then the second year I stayed at Ann Richards. I think that's what happened to me there. That I did not get to coach him in seventh grade, and then when I moved to JD, but I got to be, I got to be around him when you guys were, was you would go to the games and the eighth grade games, and man, he wearing the Nike blue soccer cleats.
But you know his story, right?
No, I don't.
You don't know his story? Okay.
No.
See, he played a select ball with Atlas,
Mm.
and at that time there was a big soccer organization there.
In sixth grade or seventh grade.
No, he was in Adolfo. If he's there, eighth grade.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
he was in eighth grade, and he told me, Coach, I'm not gonna be here for the cross country meet because I'm gonna go play in a soccer game with Atlas. That there's this man from Austin who's gonna come and see us play, and if he liked the way we play, he's gonna take us to Austin,
Mm.
and I'm gonna go to Austin.
Uh-huh.
That's what he told me.
Like in his mind, he's like, I'm gonna
Yes.
be leaving. I'm gonna be going to Austin.
So I figured, Mozo, what are the chances that they're coming here from Austin to see, like, what are they gonna see? Like, they're gonna see you, they're gonna see us play, and then they're gonna select somebody. They already told us. And
And I'm one of them. And I'm one of the
yeah,
guys.
yeah. So he was so confident, and I told him, you know what? Good for you. He says, but I'm not gonna be in the cross country meet.
Uh-huh.
And he was our number one guy.
Yeah.
So he was over there, So he played, I think it was on a Saturday, he played soccer. Monday, he came and said, "Sir, I got selected.
Ándale. Woo.
So, so what's gonna happen?" I said, pues they're gonna take me to Austin. And I thought, how are they gonna take you to Austin? You're an eighth grader, you know what I mean? What about your parents? Your family's here. The coach from the national team for the girls had an academy in Austin.
Mhm.
He personally came to see him. He took him to Austin. He
Interesting.
he took him, put him in a house. I'm not too sure what house. He go, you're gonna play. You're gonna go to school. You're not gonna play sports. Your job is to go and play in my academy because
Okay.
you're going to be exposed. So he played in Florida. He played in Dallas. He played. They took him everywhere.
How long did he last over there? Because he came back.
He was there for. I know we had some fundraisers and we gave him some money, and he lived there for a couple of months,
Mm.
and then he just got homesick. But he was
That's
an eighth
tough.
grader
Yeah, that's tough. Eighth
going
grade.
with nobody there, but he knew he was going. That's the type of kid he was. He knew he was going. So he already made his mind, he's already there. I'm there. You're gonna choose me because and and even then um he had another opportunity after when he was in high school. The same thing, but he went to Mexico because some professional team wanted him over there.
Man,
So he had those opportunities, and I mean, it's a lot. It takes a lot of courage
I gotta bring that guy
to
in. I gotta
to
bring that guy into
go
the show.
and live with people somewhere else
Yeah.
to better his life and so forth. And I mean, I don't know if he's still in school playing, but it's his mental toughness was there. He's there. Um, he has it there as far as his competitive edge and what it takes. You know,
Okay, coach. Seeing that we're talking about soccer and Austin, can you talk a little bit to us and especially the parents, the Dallas experience that you talk about with your nephew over there?
I have um I have a nephews. My family, they're in Dallas, and they played competitive soccer over there. My nephew's daughter, my nephew's daughter, um, she just graduated from Mansfield High School.
Hmm.
Okay, my nephew's daughter. Remember, my I have nephews who are practically my age. So, you
Yeah.
know, they're in their 40s and their daughters graduated. Well, this is what's going on in Dallas in soccer. In the Dallas area, if you go there and I had the opportunity to go and witness that, and I would like for people to go and see the academies there.
Mm.
They're at a different level, and people spend a lot of money on those academies. And
Hold on. Rewind. Start
we
from the
got
beginning from Dallas and the academies.
when those academies are extremely big in Dallas, extremely big. And let me tell you how big they are. Those kids who are in the academies do not play high school ball.
Interesting. Excuse me.
Those kids in the academies do not play high school ball.
So what do they play?
My niece who was selected by University of Houston to go play there.
Oh wow. Nice.
She already signed last. She signed since last year, but she played at the University of Houston. She's playing now with. She never played a single game in college in high school ball. Never played sports in high school.
But she did go to a regular public high school.
She did go to a public high school, and she was a manager in one of the in the girls team. She
Ándale.
was a manager there, to get involved with them, and she would not practice a little bit with them, but never played a game. The academy where she was at did not let her play at the high school any sports. You're not playing any sports. And my
Really?
nephew was like, "Hey, but what's gonna happen with college? Oh, don't worry about that. the colleges are gonna come to us, they'll see them with us, and she's gonna get into a college. We're gonna make sure that she goes into a college. So right now she was with Alabama. She was between Alabama, University of Houston, and there was about two other schools.
Wow.
So she decided to go to University of Houston and play. She's gonna play there.
Cool,
She's gonna
cool.
play there, at the University of Houston. Um, um, so she would send me tapes. My nephew would send me tapes of her and stuff like this, and but never played a single game in high school.
So then, when you're in the academies there in Dallas, and I'm assuming Houston must have it, Austin must have it, is what's going on there? Are there just different academies? They have their own league? Okay.
They're they're they are the coaches. Supposedly they have coaches and they have trainers. Sometimes they're not the same. A coach is, you take them to go to the game, you coach them, then the game. But the trainers are going to be training them their skill set, and that's, they have several coaches, and they have the way it's organized, they're by levels. And if you're level one, level two, level three, and once you're in level, in the highest level, those are the kids who are going to be signed by colleges.
Right.
That's the highest level they have in the academy. Those kids are all college recruits.
So
So
then
they
these
don't
guys,
play.
so they're
They
like an
don't
academy
play.
league?
Yeah, they don't play at the high school level. My nephew says it's rare that you see a kid from the academy playing at the high school level. They
Wow.
don't let you, because the parents are spending way too much money, and they take care of their scholarship. He says your coaches are gonna come and see us to the academies and soccer.
Did when she was playing in the academy league, I guess, what, ¿cómo te diré? Like the is the league there just in Dallas, or do they travel around the
Well, they
state?
travel to Florida. They
Oh,
travel everywhere.
national
California,
tournaments, national tournaments.
California, Florida. She even went to. They sent her to Mexico to go for a couple of months
Yeah,
to go train.
Tigres Palmview saying that she got called for Mexico U17 national soccer team.
Yes. Who said that? Tigres Palmview? Yes.
Yeah.
He's my nephew.
Ah, okay.
She and they, and you know what? Let me tell you something. They had to drop her off in Mexico City, and they said they were at this cafeteria, and the national team from Mexico was there eating, and they were eating in the same cafeteria with all this 17, 18, and the guys and the girls.
Holy
So
smokes.
she said, I mean, and she took pictures. I have pictures to when she was out there with these people that it was an experience for her, but that's what they did. But she skipped. This is the only bad thing is, but she didn't really enjoy her high school uh, experience as far as
Right.
their going into sports, and missed a lot of dances, and missed a lot of gatherings with their kids. And this is where Kenny is hits the point where they sacrifice a lot of things,
Yeah, Adan said the same
but
thing.
because you want to play at that high level, I mean, you're gonna have to pay that price, and sacrifice time to train your body and your mind,
Yeah,
you know.
man. Yeah, Kenny Adan said the same thing. You want to make it to that level, you got to put in the work, and there's going to be sacrifices that have to be made.
Hmm.
I wonder how much the cost of what for the parents, your nephews. What kind of
Oh, they've invested a
expenses.
lot of money. They have, but they have two daughters, and pues she's the oldest one, and pues she's hopefully she'll do well. I'll see how things go with U of H,
Yeah.
and coincidentally she's roommating with somebody from McAllen.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
high school player from McAllen,
Soccer.
soccer player, who's their roommates.
It's interesting because Matt Kai I've asked around, and but Matt Kai is one of the better girls soccer
Hmm.
forces here in the
They
valley
have a good
because
program.
there's a lot of those kids, and we go back to the same thing. A lot of those girls start either with Misa or something that since 3 4 years old they've been playing, they've been playing, they've been playing. They get to junior high, high school. It's a lot of club soccer that they do
Yeah.
in the off season. So as a head coach, it's kind of cool because well, you coach them during the season, but in the off season you have someone else doing it for you in the club, and they
And
know what they're doing.
the commitment, Rudy. My my uh, my nephew was telling me a story because whenever I would go there, I would go to their practice.
Mm,
I would go to their practice. You should see their practice facility. Oh my God, like
really?
incredible. Their practice facility. Um, so there was he was telling me that one of her teammates lives in Waco or lived in Waco, and they would go to Dallas to practice twice a week,
Man, that's what like a 2 hour drive, no, algo así.
uh, an hour and a half or something
I
like
don't even
this
know. Yeah, yeah,
from Waco.
yeah.
So this is a commitment that some parents are having with their kids. You know, being in baseball here,
I was about to
it's a
say
big
that's
commitment.
it's like what baseball is to the west part of the
It's
country.
a big commitment because our kids, missed a lot of birthday parties and a lot of some real young, and we're gonna go. We play in. I mean, here locally, Harlingen, Bronzeville, every baseball field you see in the valley here,
On the weekends.
or my kids have already played on every baseball
Oh,
field. Harlingen, San Benito, Bronzeville,
so your weekends were packed with baseball.
every time. I mean, that was their life is baseball, and we talked about this as parents. We talked about this. This is um, it gets so competitive, and especially if the team is good, that you're winning. So you're like you want to play again because you
Yeah.
don't want to rest the kids, and you want to
Yeah.
play again, and
Well,
so
let's touch on that. You as a parent, you as a coach, and the knowledge you have and what you've seen as a parent. You put Diego in a lot of baseball, but you mentioned he played soccer as well. What kind of
he
sports does he do that have that have guided him or made him that have helped him? Did he do basketball? Did he do soccer? What was that like for him growing up?
he started with soccer.
Okay,
He started with
Mexica.
soccer. Before Mexica,
Okay,
Mexica came a little bit later, like when he was about maybe 7 years old. But he was when he was 4 years old. We started with soccer. We came into baseball, basketball. It was all like recreational,
hmm,
recreational, uh, recreational soccer, recreational basketball, recreational baseball, all recreational,
yeah,
which just means that it's not as competitive. You're there having fun, building skills. I was involved a lot of in the coaching part, but I want, I don't want the kids to be solely coached by me. I think being coached by somebody else is extremely advantageous for them so they can see how they're coached by somebody else. And I don't want them to listen to me when they're in the field. You don't listen to me. I'm never going to tell you anything. You're going to listen to your coach. Your coach is your coach. I am the dad. If I'm going to correct something, if I'm going to talk about something, I'm going to do it over here in private, but I'm not going to coach from the sidelines, give them instructions, because what happens is then you minimize the factor that you have a coach directing something and you don't know what they're saying. And this is what I learned a lot from Mesika too. Mesika would tell the parents, do not tell the kids to kick the ball. Do not tell the kids to kick the ball. We have a passing thing. I don't care if they score 10 goals on us. We're going to learn how to pass. And we don't want to kick it out of bounds. We want to pass the ball. So he would preach that to us as a parent. And believe me, sometimes it was hard as a parent. You want to go tell them things, to my kids and so forth. And I stay behind. I stay behind, you know. So it's
once
tempting. It's
once the
tempting as a
kid has
parent.
to once the kid and I tell the parents, the kids that I teach, once the 4 5 6 year old has to do this to look at you because you're giving instruction, you as a parent have failed your kid.
So you work with their mental thing. My second born, he doesn't look at me whenever he's playing baseball. He doesn't.
Importante.
He doesn't. If I'm there, if I'm not there, I don't think it matters for him,
Yeah.
because he will not know where I'm at. Um, he will not. Sometimes I record him. Sometimes he tells me, "Dad, record me and this at bat because I want to see what I'm doing wrong." So now he tells me, and it's a lot of that technique that we have, but I tell them, look at the batting stance, look at this. You're being two away. So he does listen to me, but I never whatever the coach says, that's gonna be whatever it goes. And sometimes, as a coach, whether you agree or don't agree, it doesn't matter. What matters is for the athlete to be responsible and listen to the coach, because eventually somebody else is gonna coach him, and he's gonna have to listen to that person because they have a game plan.
Yeah, what's interesting about that? Oh man, I went through that this year, but well, that's a different story. We as parents and us that are coaches, because I know I'm gonna have to let go of the reins. Sometime with my kids. When they get older, hey, you're gonna have to get coached by someone else, because I learned that sometime, for most of the time, it's like Kenny said yesterday, or was it Kenny? I think it was Kenny. You're the father, but yeah, it was Kenny. And your dad's telling you, and you're as a dad, your dad's probably telling you everything to the T, perfect. You won't listen. Pero te dice el coach. The coach tells you the exact same thing. And you listen as a player. You listen. And I used to have this coach or a player at Loyola Marymount University. She was a softball player, and they would pay her $50 the session, an hour session, $50 a session. And I said, well, and I remember I asked her, doesn't her dad know how, the coach? He goes, yes. Everything I'm going to tell that little girl, her dad is going to tell her the same thing. The only difference is she's going to listen to me because that's her dad. And she doesn't believe that the dad knows as much. And I already know that in my mind, and I'm sure you've gone through where, yes, they'll listen to you here and there as they grow, they get mature. But like you said, it's always good to listen to the coach. And let them learn, and like you said, get feedback and correctness from different people, man.
There's this, and I think he's from Westlaco. Alan might know him. I think his name is Gabriel Garcia. I think if I can, Gabriel. I don't know. Gabriel something. He coaches at the 956.
Oh, okay.
And 956. And I've taken my boys over there to go train Diego. But I like what he does. I really like what he does and his drills. But more than anything else, you cannot see how the kids are going to be in an effective practice, because how his instructions are extremely short, and the kids are productive. I don't have to elaborate on my instructions because I'm gonna do. So the kids, they're good already. Do a lot of drills and a lot of repetition, a lot of hands-on on the ball, like what I like to see. I saw some drills that I hadn't seen before, so it was pretty interesting. His name is Gabriel something. I think he's from Westlaco supposedly, and he's a young guy. He's 20-some years old, like 25 years old. So I wasn't talking to him. I just paid his sessions for Diego, but he trained the Palmview kids during a break or something. We went to go pay and we trained. Yeah. But I was talking to somebody else there that knows them, but more than anything else, watch this story. Somehow, the head basketball coach from UTRGV has a daughter or a son, young kid. And he came to 956 and he saw this guy coaching. And he says, wow, I like what he's doing. So he put his son or daughter, I don't know, they're a young kid in less than 10, and was coaching the head basketball coach from UTRGV,
The son.
that boy, that Gabriel was coaching that little boy, let it grow. I don't know, I can't recall what it was.
Yeah. So
And he says, and then the same questions you said that somebody told the head coach is, why do you have I mean, you're the head basketball coach from UTRGV. Why don't you coach your kid? And he said the same thing. And this is where he says, you know what? There's a lot of common denominators in here in this fact. I want him to see that type of drills from coming from somebody else, whether it's the same thing. Well, guess what? That coach invited him to go do some drills with a UTRGV athletes.
nice.
So that was an experience for him. So he was telling me, and the guy is real passive. You know, I've had that conversation very, very. Adan probably knows him. They're probably about the same age. I'm not too sure. But so the guy's from Westlaco. I know that.
Yeah.
Gabriel something, you know.
Maybe
I got his number.
Eric coached at Weslaco for 1 year, I think it was. Maybe he might know him.
See, I know he's well known because he coaches Fidel's boy.
Yeah. Daniel goes there. And I've seen some of the drills they showed him to me, and yeah.
Garcia. The guy's Garcia.
Ándale.
Garcia.
956. I know Mr. Cuevas. Took out
See,
there for a few years.
I'm trying to see. Coach Garcia 956. That's all they have. Coach Garcia 956. But Fidel knows him. That was an interesting story from him. You know, he's that kid from Memorial. Remember you played against him? There's a kid from Memorial that remember your competition. There was a kid, the point guard from Memorial Middle School.
Oh, when this year?
Yeah, this year.
See, yeah, he's pretty good.
Okay, he would also go to that place, and I was talking to the dad, right? You know, I was talking to the dad, and we were talking about him, you know, about the coach. You know, I think it's Garcia. His name is Gabriel Garcia.
Yeah.
But you know, interesting thing about, even though you're the best coach there, you're the Bill Parcell of football, you know, but you know, it's always advantageous for your kids to be coached by somebody else and listen to that and pay attention to that.
At the same time, you got to make sure that whoever you're sending them to knows what they're doing. You don't want just anyone.
No, definitely. And I had the opportunity, believe me, you know, I went back to coaching because my boy came into 7th grade.
Yeah.
So that's when I came back to coaching to coach him. To coach him in 7th grade. Coach him in basketball, coach him in football. He says I wanted to be involved, and it was pretty good. I had a good experience. He did. It was one of probably my best experience coaching my own son there. Yeah. In 8th grade, I moved up with him to coach him in there again, and then in basketball, Adolfo, I said, "Dijo, go ahead, Adolfo, go coach my son." It's like, you know, he had a good experience with that group of kids too.
That's what. Is Edward on that team? Edward's on that
team. Yes. I know what you're gonna say.
No, I just.
It's a good. It was a good group of kids.
Yeah, I like Edward's character, man. He was talking trash to me.
We won the tournament in 7th grade with that group.
Yeah. No, se puso bueno el show ahí.
Sí.
So, and that's interesting. You mentioned that because. I guess for parents that are watching and might watch this later on, is you go through soccer, you do basketball, you do baseball. What is Diego playing right now as a fresh? Because he's about to go to sophomore year, right?
Okay, this is the deal. He started playing baseball when he was competitive when he was 10 years old. At 10, I put him in a select group. And he played competitive, and he played 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now he turned 15 on Sunday. So he's
the summer baby.
Dante played select baseball, travel ball since he was 6 years old. 6 years old playing. He's been playing select ball ever since. He hasn't stopped.
Right.
So right now, what is he playing? Did he play football? Yes. I told him, you're going to give an opportunity to play football. So he played football. I said, you're gonna start the game, the sport, and you're gonna finish the sport.
Uh-huh. As a
So he
freshman.
would get discouraged here and there because he was a receiver. It's they don't really they run the ball a lot, so he was a receiver, so he wasn't getting. But he liked it. He stuck it there. He's like there was some good athletes there. He had the opportunity to say, "You want to go to play quarterback at the B team," and he selected not to. I really did not involve in those things. He's a small kid. He's a small in stature, but he's growing. Yeah, he's already
Yeah.
getting his a little growth
Growth
spurt.
spurt. Yeah.
So he still with he finished the season with football. Then he went into basketball, and Coach Carrillo does an amazing job. I think Eric. I mean, the coaches we have in La Jolla, they're phenomenal. Really, they're my hats off to all of them. I cannot say anything. They all have a lot of experience, a lot of um, knowledge in the game and whatever sport that they have. We have a good programs. When the schools came into three, everything kind of came down. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. But so right now, Diego played basketball, and man, he really, 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 really enjoyed the game. Like enjoyed the game so much. And I told the kids, look, if you're gonna play baseball and you're gonna play basketball together, pues there's no competition. The kid will choose basketball all the time. Baseball, it requires a lot of patience to be there, taking turns. It's an independent, it's an individual. I don't care what people say. It's about a team sport. It's more of an individual sport. It's you against when you're batting. It's you against 9 people. Your people in the bench are not gonna help you. You against 9 people. You're gonna hit the ball and you're gonna be on your own in the bases. All 9 people are gonna try to get you out.
Yeah.
So it's an individual. It's a spotlight. When you're batting, it's a spotlight. Do not minimize the fact that talk something bad when they're batting, because it's like when you're singing and you messed up a key and everybody screams at you, everybody says, get him out of there. How do you think they feel? Same thing as a child.
Yeah.
And what do we do sometimes as parents? ¿Qué estás haciendo? No la mirates. No te miras o qué? Te poncharon. We know that. Everybody knows that. Now we advertised it.
Let me pause that right now. I'm at a wedding. In big time wedding, very nice wedding. My wife's, her boss, allá en the Cantú construction, no sé dónde, real nice wedding. A mom, no sé qué dijo el niño que quería unos tacos, estaban vendiendo ahí algo. And he goes, hey, can I ask him? Me estás pidiendo algo, no le pudiste pegar la bola ayer ni ahora, y quieres que te compre algo. And I was just like, the kid's like 11 years old. Y digo, hey, déjalo, hombre.
Yeah. And what you don't understand, Rudy, que success in baseball.
I didn't know who they were. It's just that I was like, oh man, I felt bad, so bad for the kid.
A successful baseball player does good 30% of the time.
Yeah.
70% of the time you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
And that's success. You're successful. See, what people don't understand that a lot of times there's going to be more opportunity to be unsuccessful. And if we are going to get reminded about that 70% all the time, and the 30% are going to be very minimal, very small window of opportunity for you to be successful. Right. So now what he's playing is, well, he plays baseball. He's okay. He's good. But I feel that he's losing interest in baseball, and basketball is taking over.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. Is he going to play football this year? He says that he's going to go basketball and baseball. Yeah, as a sophomore, Sometimes they're gonna make their own decisions in there. We have a lot of influence and so forth. So we, he he would have he's
Oye, with
we'll
COVID,
see.
how did he play baseball? Because of COVID, did he even get to play a scrimmage? How did that work?
No, the game the season we're about to start, and I think he played he played a couple of games. There was a couple of games that he played. Um, so it was a nice experience. We went to Rio Grande to go play them over there with the freshman team, and we played against the teams against other kids that from Rio. That those kids were in the baseball traveling team whenever growing up. But we took a
Oh,
picture with them and so forth, and say hi to the parents. It's a good sport, Rudy, to interact with a lot of kids
yeah.
because it lends itself.
Pues sí,
The
it
sport
is a
lends
little bit
itself.
slower. You get to meet people,
See,
see their face, and all that.
and you get the thing is like here, my kids, if you go to first base and you have a conversation
Yeah, the first
with
baseman.
a first baseman, you know what I mean, and you have a conversation with a second baseman. When you're batting with the catcher, you're having a conversation, and that's the beauty of the sport. It lends itself to just watch the majors. Every time somebody's in first base, they're probably thinking, "Hey, what's a good place to eat here?"
Yeah,
Like
that's
this,
true.
and they'll have a conversation about things. It lends itself for that. And basketball, there's no time. It's so fast. Okay, hey, we'll talk about that later. Ahorita, I'm gonna try to beat you. You're gonna try to beat me.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true. All
but
right, you mentioned earlier, we'll talk about the split. What happened with the split?
you know when La Jolla was one school, there was a lot of pride. A lot of
Man,
pride. I
man.
mean, I'm a La Jolla graduate of 1988, number 43. I can show you videos. They all
You
bandy,
have.
you
You
know.
have showed me
Oh yeah, I can
videos.
show you. Okay. So we were. I mean, football was like my heart was like, and then Coach Casas was my coach. Mario Peña was my coach. Coach Garcia, Manuela Lanis, still like all those people are amazing people. I have a lot of experience, good positive experience with them. I had season tickets, Rudy. Okay,
Really?
as a coach, because if you didn't have season tickets, you were not gonna have your family sitting down there.
Uh-uh.
We had season tickets.
In order to get a
Um,
seat, in order
yeah,
to get a seat.
to get a seat, you had season tickets. I had like 10. I would buy for my sister would go every Friday, and I mean my family would go. Like I had season tickets for my family to go. You know, whenever they were coming to, we had the same seats all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was packed all the time,
Oh man.
and it was an amazing feeling. Like a lot of pride, a lot of pride. Um, but when the schools separated, you kind of saw that was the Coyote pride was like stayed very small.
Pues
Here
that's
comes
good.
Pablo Lobos, and
Yeah.
it's like people from the Lobos were once Coyotes, and they were like, now we're gonna be accustomed to get Lobos and Huskies, y pues they were once Coyotes, and now they're Huskies, and y pues the pride came about and hit us hard, and it was good for the academics. Three valedictorians, three this, three quarterbacks, three more opportunities for other kids to play,
For sure.
definitely. But like everything else, the competition, goes down. Like the level of play comes down, and we you know the coaches are doing a phenomenal job now that getting those kids to compete, because when Balde was a quarterback and Kenny was a
Linebacker.
Balde didn't play defense. Kenny didn't play offense. I mean, that was what we call them double platoon. Your defense was over here, your offense was over here. They met each other a little bit, and then they would go and uh, they would practice. they would practice both, but they never touched the field for both. There was like um, when Valde was a quarterback, I believe, or one of our star running backs went down. Um, Rios, I think Oscar Rios, he
Yeah.
went down. Here comes another kid and over 1,000 yards. Like here comes another one. And boom! There was so much talent. Amazingly, so much talent. Like we had Omi as a secondary. There was a lot of talent in that team. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Juanito was probably one of the best running backs there was there. Like he really did an
Top
amazing
five.
stuff.
He's in the top five of all time, La Jolla Coyote.
He was he was at that level. Yes, I mean it was nice to see him play. Nice to see him play. I think he was a sophomore when Alan was a senior or something like this. I'm not too sure at what, but yeah, I mean it's one of those things that we see him grow from middle school, how he was in Chavez. Um, they we know that they have athletes. We want to contain those athletes, but eventually, when he was in high school, pues, I mean, he took over the game, and he did awesome. He did amazing, and had a great success. I think, if I'm not mistaken, let me tell you a story about UT coach. A UT coach mentioned Juanito when he was in high school. He says, "Hey, but you guys have a running back out there. What's the story with that kid?" Some
Oh,
UT.
really?
They mentioned something because we would go to UT conferences over there.
Yeah.
So the UT coach, like they mentioned, because when Coach Villaseñor was there, I and personally, I'm gonna be probably. I mean, I got the experience of having Fred Hernandez, Coach Villaseñor, Coach Casas. There was a lot of coaches in there.
Mm.
What I learned with Coach Villaseñor, that he was more um, family oriented in the coaching aspect of us. The guy said, we're gonna get together after the game, whether we win or lose. Whether we win or lose, we're gonna get together. This is what I learned from him, through another coach that I just talked to him not too long ago. He coached under Villaseñor. When Coach Villaseñor came in, he helped. He did amazing stuff in how brought the whole culture of the coaches and the kids to the game, because you have to build the culture and the belief that they believe in you and so forth. So one of the things that this coach told me, he says, I'm gonna pick my quarterback. So Coach Villaseñor comes in and says, I'm gonna pick my quarterback, and you pick the next 11. That's gonna be your defense. The next 11 kids, if I'm gonna pick my quarterback, he saw the kids, and I have a feeling that was Adan Montalvo. He said, Adan Montalvo is a quarterback, and you pick the next 11. And Coach Amberson was a defensive coordinator. I love that scheme that Coach Amberson had. It was a real interesting scheme. He has a point, but he had a really interesting scheme.
Mm.
And nobody else has had it before the way he does it. And then I saw that in up north, they would do that more.
Mm.
They would do that more. So he would put all the best guys, the best athletes, he would put them against your best guys, right? Matchups. So if you right tackle and you have a tight end, that was your best guys there. I'm going to put my best guys against you. If you put that tackle and that tight end on the other side, I'm going to put my best guy. I'm going to switch them too.
Yeah. Okay.
You understand?
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
So I'm going to put my best kids against your best kids all the time.
Yeah.
That was Amberson's defense. Like 4-3, but those kids would switch.
Yeah.
They would follow okay, the tight end is coming on this side. So, boom, ahí están mis best guys in there.
Yeah.
Tight end is on that side. The tight end is on this side. That means the strong side is on one side. Boom, I'm going to put my strong side over here.
Yeah.
It was interesting to see how that worked really well, you know. But I mean, ultimately, pues, you know, so the kids would learn how to play on the left side and the right side and so forth. Linebackers too, everything. You would switch a lot of stuff.
Fíjate.
It was an experience, and we did a lot of learning through there as a coach, how to teach the kid to switch and to play left side and right side responsibilities.
Right.
You know,
Interesting. So then, what does the offense look like? Adán Montalvo show, okay?
Adan Montalvo was the option with a wing set.
Uh-huh.
With
With Villaseñor.
see,
You know, someone made a comment to me, and you don't have to give me feedback on this or anything, but somebody made a comment to me. They watched the show, and I'll tell you what though, people start calling me like, hey, and they tell me their story, and they chime in, and I'm like, well, let's go live. No. You know, I've had like two of them. Like, you're crazy, you know. But one of the phone calls was like, he said this. He goes, it's interesting how Adan did not throw the ball that much. I think it was Adan. Or there was a quarterback that did not throw that ball that much, but when Oki Villaseñor, the son, was the receiver, all of a sudden, well, we have to throw the ball to him a few times in the game. And I don't know if that was the game plan because it was his son, but that's what they alluded to. As a matter of fact, I'm working on bringing Oki Villaseñor, the son, who's at Eagle Pass right now. I'm working on bringing him onto the show.
who the Eric or what?
What's his? I don't know his name.
Or Oki?
Whoever is at Eagle Pass.
Oscar.
No sé, I don't know his first name.
Okay, let me tell you something on that. What can I say? That kiddo was good though.
Oh yeah, I got to see him a few times. He's pretty good.
So, I mean, and you're the coach, you're the dad, and he's good. Pues, I mean, you're going to make plays to feed him the ball a little bit more than probably did before.
According to Mario Flores, he ran a 4.5.
Yeah. Plus, he was quick.
Yeah.
But he was fast, and he really a good player.
Yeah.
So you want to give that opportunity to give him that threat in there.
Yeah.
Really, did we throw the ball a lot? I don't think we've ever thrown the ball a lot. I think Juarez, and I haven't seen Juarez this year, that they threw the ball a lot more than normal.
A lot.
Right?
A lot. I saw them play one game versus La Joya Coyotes. And ¿cómo se llama el coach? Cortés,
yes.
Man, that guy, I'm just, wow. Pues, you know, I mean, yeah, I'm a Coyote, coaching Coyotes, but a lot of those seniors are the guys that I coach. Those are my ex-players. I was like, oye, mira, está haciendo garras. You know, you kind of have a little pride there, but, you know, yeah.
It's really hard to throw the ball. It's really hard to coach to throw the ball. It takes a lot of planning. I remember there was a coach before he ran the misdirection, the nasty slot. We call him the nasty slot, which I think Pablo runs. So there were some coaches who came from Coach Ford from Los Fresnos back when the Twins, they had some twins over there too, like Balde and Kenny. One of them was a linebacker and the other one was a quarterback. I mean, they would sling it. They were just Scott Ford. I think his name was Scott Ford. I'm not too sure. So they would throw the ball a lot. So there were some coaches that came from that school and learned the whole sequence is throwing the ball. The you know, so they try to implement it, but you know, that's when what's his name was there, Peña, the RJ Alanis came to Juarez, and they tried to throw it, and it's hard because everything has to work. Your throwing has to be there, and if everything goes well, the blocking, the throwing, and then the receiver doesn't catch it. Like it's hard.
It's hard.
And then so there's so many things that have to happen at the same time, and that's hard to do. When you it's easier when you pitch the ball, pues it's a y vámonos.
Yeah.
Pero when you throw in the ball, the line has to block. The running backs have to help in the blocking scheme. They have to go and run the right routes. They have to be in sequence. They have to get open. I have to throw the ball. He has to catch it. So many things have to happen.
Yes.
So it's a lot more difficult to prepare for that than just, toss it, or doing the ISO and stuff like that.
Hazela, Juanito.
So it's a lot easier, but it still takes work and the sequence and all that stuff. But it takes time to develop the quarterback. It's the hardest position to develop, and we have good opportunities, but it's hard to develop a player, a quarterback. It's just very difficult. I know in some Italian schools they run the ball a lot. In some other schools they throw the ball a lot. Like they're throwing every time. So it's admirable whenever they come in and I believe in the 80s when I played, we were in a run and shoot. We did the misdirections a little bit. We threw the ball a little bit, not a lot, but it was like the running shoot. I don't even remember the running shoot. Well, Mission, the coach, I think it was Dowling, if I'm not mistaken, back in the 80s, he came from San Antonio thinking, you know what, I'm going to go to the Valley and I'm going to start building an offense to throw the ball. Because everybody was running. Everybody ran the ball in the 80s. Everybody ran the ball. There was nobody who passed the ball until Dowling came in and they started throwing the ball with Lupe Rodriguez. Lupe Rodriguez, Nati, Frank. We went to school together, but we were in La Jolla and they were in Mission.
Isn't he a coach in PSJ or something?
See,
like
he's a head coach. And guess what they do? They're throwing. They throw the ball. Coy Denver, they came in and, those guys would throw 200 yards, 250 yards. And now the defensive coordinators had to adjust. When we played, there was only a single safety in the 80s, only one safety. We didn't have a strong safety. For what? People didn't throw the ball, just
load the box.
Let's hit. So now we have to have 5 defensive backs at one time because now they're throwing the ball so much.
Yeah. You're talking about Rusty Dowling? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Juan Lopez makes that comment.
Yeah. So he came and changed the whole game and the passing game.
Yeah.
So now it's like I said, it's harder to do. It's really harder to do. We try to do it in middle school, Rudy. There was one time and we were there. He says, Coach, we're gonna start throwing the ball. I don't care if we lose, we're gonna start throwing the ball. Was first down, boom, nothing, incomplete, second, punt. We went like 3-4 possessions like that, and we never could move the ball, like things like this. And they says, Coach, stop it. Just run the damn ball. So we ran the ball and we won the game. ¿Verdad? So
in 7th grade, I know it's tough to throw the ball. In 8th grade, it might get a little easier, but it's still hard,
It's hard. It's hard at all levels.
Yeah. So, that's different. Hard. But the split happened. It's interesting. The other day, I went on UIL, and I was going to try to find the last 10 years. The last 10 years of the district champs here in the area. Right, and to see who's in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, but they don't have it because they only have the bracket. You could see where the 4 teams from the Valley go into the bracket. Mm-hmm. But I wanted who got 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and to see how successful, what schools are being successful in the past 10 years, or is it always the same ones, and what are they doing, or what can we do to, if it's not us, I don't know, but I couldn't find it. And I don't know if people keep track of that, the records, because I know, Chavez, and I think it's for the whole junior high. We turn in the records how we did per year, so that's on file. But I just wanted to know what the success rate has been in the area for us. I couldn't find it, but it was more for the whole argument of the basketball and football.
Yes.
Coaches don't want to let their guys go, and I was like, pues si no estás ganando. I mean, I'm not saying that's true. I mean, like I said, I couldn't find the results, but I'm like, if it's not working, you might as well try something new for your skill set secondary. But I couldn't find it, so I don't know if it's true or not. It was just an argument I was trying to make. ¿Cómo tiene? Some research and some data, but who knows? I know Palmview did fairly well this year, no? And when they went
Yes.
to 5A
Yeah.
in football, so that was good for them.
That was they did very well. They did very well. Um, I know the freshman team they have a good team, and the freshman team was really good. And I was talking to Coach Ochoa, and he said, Coach, nobody the kids like to throw the ball, and they were throwing the ball a little bit more than what they're used to it, but they have some athletes. They have some good looking athletes, so they should be okay. They have a good system going.
I'm going to make this comment, and I want your feedback on it. And this is a belief, I think, from what I've seen or from what I know or whatever it may be. One is, this is not the comment, but this is where it stems from. I believe that all high schools should have a freshman campus, right? That aside, whether you have a freshman campus or not, I believe that some of the most important coaches, especially in football, are the freshman coaches. To make sure that those freshmen get taught correctly, get ready for JV next year, or some of the sophomores that are going to go jump up to the varsity level. I don't know if the stipends are up to par or whether they are or they're not. I don't know. In the past 5 years, 10 years, like I'm being very ignorant in this comment I'm making, in the sense of I believe those are some of the most important coaches we should have, and I don't know if we do or if we don't have them or if we've had them in the past. I do hear Bobby Guerra, is that his name?
Yes.
I've heard great things about that guy as a freshman coach. What do you think about that stuff?
We have Rene Ochoa. We have a lot of good coaches, but you're right. It's hard to nowadays, Rudy. It's really hard to get people to coach. It's not like before. Before, people would want to coach. Now, it's not like that. Look at the middle schools. I mean, sometimes you get coaches from the elementaries because they're not at the high schools. They're always looking for certain coaches. It's hard to get them to coach out there. The freshman team, sometimes you have 3 or 4 coaches when before you used to have 5 or 6. Now you have very, very few, and there's some programs, and I'm not going to talk about it. There's a school that I follow a lot because I have some friends there, but they have a good system. I don't know the details, but what they do is their freshman class, the freshman practice doesn't practice with the rest of the varsity, and not at the same time. It seems like the freshman class practices before the varsity, like they go lift weights or they go do something else from the practice.
Okay.
So what they do is that they have those varsity coaches, they come to the freshmen,
Right.
and they are coaching in there.
So like during the
They're coaching the freshman group. Right? So the varsity coaches, they split. Some of them go to the weight room with those kids, varsity kids, and the other group, they come to the freshmen and they coach the freshman kids.
I'm assuming what you just said is probably like, okay, defensive coaches go take care of the weight room, offensive coaches go work on your offense.
I'm not too sure the organization part. I'm not too sure, but they have some coaches out there, and the rest of the varsity coaches, they go to the freshmen and they teach the concept of the system.
Right.
Got it?
I got you.
So then freshman practice is over.
Right.
So they leave.
Yeah.
Now the freshman coaches go help out with the varsity coaches when the varsity practices.
Ándale.
You understand?
Yeah.
You see how the organization is at?
That's a lot of coaches coaching up those kids.
That's a lot of coaches. And that's exactly what I said. So how many coaches do we have when the freshman people? There's lots of them there. And then when you're in the varsity, the freshman coaches come in and they help in the varsity coaches the whole team.
I
That's
I I know I know I'm a fan of Coach Farias' system. That's pretty neat the way they have it. Um, they ¿cómo te diré? Well, when I'm there for the 2 days, right?
mhm.
What they do is they have the varsity. So varsity goes offense, right? Okay, we're practicing offense. So they got their stations, and you got the varsity coaches coaching offense, and the defensive varsity coaches are coaching defense freshmen.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? During the 2 days. So you got the freshman coaches with the freshmen, plus the defensive position coaches with the
So
freshmen.
same concept. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the first hour, whatever, hour and a half, whatever, I don't know, and then beep whistle, and then they switch, and the varsity goes and works on the defense, and the freshmen go work on the offense with the varsity coaches, and the freshman coaches go with the freshmen, so they go with and defense, and they go with the offense. So I think I'm a fan of that system
Hmm.
because
So that means there's a lot of collaboration between the all the coaches are with with the freshman kids too,
yes,
and they don't
yes,
get isolated in there
right.
too.
I'm a fan of
So
that, and what I like about that is for the varsity, because like you said earlier, double platoon, pues the split, and sometimes the depth chart is not there. One guy goes down. Well, the defensive guy, well, you've been repping with the offense. Not, well, you know what I'm saying.
yes,
So you've been practicing, like you're like the third or fourth guy in the chart. But if somebody goes down, well, you don't come in cold because you've been practicing with us when it's
you're
offense.
exposed. You're
You're
exposed.
exposed. So I'm a big fan of that system. I think they're doing real good there. Man, I get so excited, man, when I'm out there, bro, because it's just
No, I mean they've done. I think all three schools have done
yeah,
so well with a limited amount of kids that are out there.
yeah,
It's not the same kids that they have. Believe me, it's not the same kids they have in McAllen. In McAllen, they have almost 200 kids out there
yeah. It's
in
like
the
Kenny
school.
yesterday. He said that they had what, like 150 out in the strength and conditioning program
Hmm.
during COVID. During COVID,
We don't have those numbers here.
I don't, no sé, no, I
Yeah,
can't,
they have a lot more participations, Rudy, and but nonetheless, I mean, they do an amazing job
Oh, for
with
sure.
the kids that we
At
have.
all three, at all three.
I think we have a good system um, in the academics too. I'm proud to say that uh, I'm teaching. We have a very good system in the academics. I don't think anybody's close to us. We have our kids. Some of our kids have graduated from there. I have two daughters that graduated from La Jolla, and now I have my kids.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a good system, but unfortunately, sometimes we're losing kids. And I think parents will find out that what we have academically to offer, what we have in the sports to offer. It's we have a lot of great coaches, but unfortunately, that some of those good athletes that we lose because it's limited exposure that we have from our kids compared to other cities. Limited exposure
The growing up, the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 year olds that
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 are playing that sport. Whether it's basketball, football, whatever it is.
yeah,
Um,
makes
they're
a
they're
difference.
makes a difference.
Yeah. Uh, Man, the stories and the coaching, we could keep going, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping some parents, tuned in and they watch this in the future, and it's all about guiding and giving advice from your experiences, my points of view, Valde's points of view, everybody that's coming in. I just want to make sure that we grow, and whoever watches this, wherever they're from, is just to steal ideas from everyone. I'm a big fan of ideas. Este, and I think I'm gonna start doing this with all my guests. As a parent, what would be your advice to parents?
To trust the system. trust the system. Um, as in the athlete, we need to trust the system. The coaches are there to guide the team. We understand that there has to be winning involved, and they're making the best decision and the best preparations with the kids.
Hmm.
I had the opportunity to go and watch my kid as a freshman. Not a single time that I interfered with his play, whether it was good or bad. He came from the. I know at the beginning he was a second group. Then he ended up with a first group, um, and he did very well. They have a good system there.
Hmm.
But as a parent, we need to trust the system. And like I said, we have great coaches, and the kid will grow. The kid will grow physically, and the skill set, they will grow. And my recommendations for the parent is trust the system, because we have personnel there. They're guiding your children to be the best they can in character and competitiveness and the mental toughness. And if they're going to play at the next level, because we have some great opportunities for them to play at the next level, and some players, you're going to have to trust that system too, wherever they're at. And a lot of times we might think that we know it all, but even like the UTRGB coach, that he's a coach, and a
Yeah.
25-year-old is coaching his son.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So,
I got you.
parents need to trust the system, and let the process go, and they'll do well.
The only thing I have to add to that is, as a favor to the success of kids, is for parents to start latest third or fourth grade. Get them involved.
Yes,
Get,
but
get,
that's going to be a given. I think people know, but you don't understand the sacrifice that their parents
has to
have to
make.
go.
Yeah.
And my would say hats off to those parents that I know a lot of them, that the parents work up north, and the mom is here with two,
Hmm.
three, or four kids,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
they're getting them involved.
Mm.
It's
Great career. Great
amazing
career.
what they've done to
Yeah.
to give them that opportunity. But Rudy, it's hard because sometimes if I would have my third child in sports, I would say I can't. I
Hmm.
mean, there was times when my boys were playing in different cities, and I had to go and to this and to drop. It was stretching you very thin,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Great
So
point.
time, and a lot of times people say, "Oh, yeah," but we don't understand the concept. What is the parents going through in their lives as far as financially,
Yeah.
relationship wise, and then you still have a kid who is an extraordinary athlete, but don't have the means at home
Yeah.
to be able to give them that opportunity.
The
And
confidence.
we have to understand that they don't. Well, guess what? We have to provide that for them.
Yeah. And Kenny touched base on that yesterday with the whole, the elementary coaches do have a huge responsibility, especially in situations where kids don't have the means to go to after school, whether it be parenting, financial, whatever it is, but they can get some exposure through the elementary. And he was
Yes.
very adamant about that. Great message, great point, coach. As you coaching and all the years you have coaching, I know you've been a great mentor to me as a teacher and a coach. What would you tell coaches out there? The young coaches, the junior high coaches, and some of the high school coaches. What kind of advice would you give them?
Never stop learning, and be a good listener.
Hmm.
We we sometimes get caught up in saying, oh, my way is the only way,
Hmm.
and we have to see as a coaches that we have to be teachers and students of the game all the
Yeah.
time. Students of the game. As a coach, we are here learning from young kids. You see that kid Garcia that I saw in this drills, basketball drills, 25-year-old. He's half my age.
Yeah.
When he was born, I was already coaching.
Yeah.
And I'm here learning from this 25-year-old that I saw. Wow, those drills are good. I'm gonna implement some of that stuff in there. I would as a young coach, we would go in and I would love to see Harlingen warm-ups in football, and the way the receivers coach would throw the ball to them in warm-ups. And you don't know how much. He says, I would love to see their warm-up setup as a basketball coach. Before we used to go scout, Rudy, in basketball, I would like to see their warm-ups. How is their warm-ups? I know Rene Gonzalez. I went to school with him, that coach from Pioneer. You know, I would like to see his warm-ups, how he warms up, what kind of drills you get from there that you can adapt to your game and so forth. So during the warm-ups, you get a lot of learning part, and not from all over the place, not just your system, but be a student of the game all the time, all the time.
Great point, man. And I 100% agree with you. Now, as a parent and as a coach, what would you tell the young bucks, the young athletes?
To be patient, because we know some things. And I told my boy, not every time it's gonna go well. And it's like a relationship. Not every time is gonna be a honeymoon. There's gonna be times in your lives where there's gonna be conflict. There's gonna be times when you're gonna hit 6 threes, boom, 18 points. My boy had one of those games, and then he couldn't buy a bucket in the next 2 games. Right? So how are you going to react to those things? It's going to make you mentally stronger. How are you going to react? Are you going to be okay with it? How are you going to react with those things? In the NFL, I learned a lot from Bill Parcells. If you want to know, I want you to watch Bill Parcells' Hall of Fame speech. Bill Parcells' Hall of Fame speech. Watch it. It's good. Good stuff. I'm a fan of Bill Parcells. I'm a fan of him and what he does, and he says, and I remember when he was, everybody was glamorizing Tony Romo. I'm a fan of Tony Romo too, just in case. Drop it out there. I think no, but it's a different conversation. But not Troy Aikman, but Tony Romo, yes. So one time when Tony Romo came he threw 4 touchdown passes, right? And everybody's like, oh yes, everything's so good. 4 touchdown passes, and Bill Parcells says, yes, they were off on the 5-yard line. I could have done that. So, in other words, enjoy your victories as much as you can, but recognize that there's going to be some times as a student that those things are not going to be happening every time. And just because you scored 25 points one time does not going to be an excuse for me not to work, because next time I can do the same exactly thing and hit 5 points instead of 25. You understand? So how is a student going to be learning from the whole process that don't think I'm not going to work as hard because I'm already good. I scored 30 points. I'm going to relay back. So those things are not going to happen every time. So how are we going to deal with that as a student, as a coach? How are you going to motivate the kid to saying just because you scored 30 points doesn't mean you're good? You know?
Yeah. So we've been at it for 2.5 hours. So let's start the next hour on Palmview politics and the elections.
That's gonna be for later. Right now, we
great,
just
man. Great conversation, man. It was good.
We just want to focus on the kids and the developmental and all that stuff. But yes, for the people out there, I'm a commissioner in Palmview too, just to let people know there. And well, we're still there, and when it involves into politics and all that stuff, it gets. But regardless of the situation, we have to be professional, be civil, be students of life, because that's what we're here for. We never know it all, but we can always learn from the people who've been there. And it doesn't matter how educated we are, being a good person does never replace somebody who's bad. Hitler was real smart, um, very intelligent man. Does not, you know, does not make him an excuse why he did what he did. But there's a lot of people who were not privileged to be as smart as him and were by far much better people. So how you compose yourself, how you always be professional. I remember one time to finish up, there's a story you told me about how a parent came in to you because they attacked you for a foul or for something game, right? And how you just stayed composed, you know, and proceeded. And you know, a lot of times we need to do our job in silence and have that respect. You know, I've had the privilege to coach and teach so many kids, and I've never had an experience for them to talk bad or to talk something that I didn't do logically or unreasonable for that student. Mine, it was sometimes I was a little bit more firm than others, but at the end of the day, you know, people look up to educators, people look up to you, and we cannot take advantage of just saying we have to just. Um, uh, there's been a lot of experiences where some educators might take advantage of the system in that sense, but ultimately, pues we're here to do this. One last thing before, and kind of guides me why I decided to go into education and so forth. In 1995, I had the opportunity for making a lot more money, and um, once I interviewed for the job as a teacher, and I got hired. Got hired like in late July, and a week later, a friend of mine told me, "Hey, JL, there's a company starting $50,000 plus a company car plus bonuses." At that time, teachers would make $22,000. Just to give you a little bit of how much of a difference it was going to be. And I decided. I said, it's so tempting, Rudy. It was so tempting because at the end of the day, pues you go to school, get your degrees and so forth, and then to get to work in a place where it's going to be a little bit more comfort and financially in your life. So I said, let me try 1 year of teaching, and after that year, do me a favor, if you can hold that thing for 6 months, that job, and he told me, you know what, Jill, I'm gonna hold it for a year for you. If you don't like teaching, you can always come back, and I'll give you the same deal. Well, Rudy, 25 years later, I'm still here.
Oh yeah.
And I met my wife. I have my kids. I don't know what it would have been choosing something else. I decided by going into politics. My mother-in-law served 16 years as a state judge, retired, did an amazing job. But let me tell you, not everything was dandy in politics. Not everything is good. She had a couple of failures. She lost twice in a race. And, just because you lose doesn't mean that you're a bad person or anything like this. It just means that, things didn't go your way. How are we going to react to things when you don't go your way? And this is when you build character, and so forth. I had an opportunity to run and sometime back, and I lost. I get an opportunity to run again. I won, and we're still here, and we're trying to make the best decisions for as an educator, as a coach, now as a council member, and listening still and listening from you and getting all these people in the live stream to learn from all of them. And it's amazing. It's an amazing job you're doing, Rudy. I really, I'm grateful that you're, taking the task of doing this. And like you said, it's not easy. It's not easy to be here and sometimes speak your mind and things, because a lot of things might they might agree with you and they might not, but ultimately we're here and educators, but mostly we're parents and doing the same thing, trying to raise our kids to be great kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coach, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate your insight.
Thank you, Rudy. We'll
Have a
see
good
you.
night, everyone. Take it easy. Be easy.